welcome to another episode of the Pardo Sports Talk podcast. I am your host, Junior Pardo, and today we're gonna be talking about college football and only college football. I did NFL a couple of weeks ago. We'll only be doing college football today. We're headed into week 8, and there's been a few changes at the top, in the top 24, in the top 25. I'm sorry, especially the top 10. A few teams lost in the top 10. Just a few, not that many, just a few. It was number 2, number 6, number 7, number 8, all lost in the top 10. It was an amazing weekend for college football this past weekend, and this coming weekend, I feel like it's going to be another amazing weekend. But before we get into the matchups, let's look at the schedules. I want to get into something because I was watching college football live and they were talking about UCF being in the same conversation as the big dogs. The big dogs, of course, being the Alabamas, the Ohio States, Clemsons, all of the usual suspects that are always in the top 4, top 5 teams in the nation. Which are the same teams that usually always make the playoffs. But I want to get into that right now. I want to play you what Joey Galloway said to Reese Davis about why he feels that way. So it's here, take a listen. This is what Joey Galloway had to say.
Hey, Reese, once again, the fine people at UCF are wondering, why are we not in this conversation? And so you said Notre Dame might get a spot. There's some Power 5s left out. And here we started, Reese. I'm here to represent the small guy. UCF is in this conversation. And if they continue, because the AAC has Cincinnati undefeated, USF undefeated. Hey, Pollock, I see you over there smiling. Here's all I'm saying.
USF is a bad undefeated team, by the way, if you're watching college football. Please don't point to them.
But here's the thing, though. They're still undefeated, and we're in mid-season. Don't start this, Reese. UCF deserves to be in this conversation. Now, let me say this. With that being said,
wait a minute,
Galloway.
Go ahead. Wait a minute, Galloway. Everybody says that because they want to be popular with all the UCF Twitter people. They say they deserve to be in this conversation.
Really?
What does that mean? Define what that means, be in this conversation. Does that mean that they are one of the 4 best teams? If so, step out there and say it now.
Here's what I'm saying to you, Reese Davis. First off, you know I don't tweet, so being popular on Twitter doesn't matter.
One of the best.
Here, Reese, you know you can't box me in. Here's my answer to that question. When the committee comes out and lets us know where they have UCF, like they did last season, if UCF is sitting at 14 and 13 and 12 lose, then they got to move up. We keep doing this thing. What do you mean, why? Because if they are the 14th best team
and jumps them, that's okay. What if
is it okay?
Them?
Is it really okay,
What
Reese?
difference does it make if they're not 4? I asked you, and you still haven't answered. Are they one of the 4 best teams? Can they do enough to be one of the 4 best teams?
Because, Reese, you sat in the room and you know how this works. And when you put them into groupings, and if they never get a chance to be in the grouping that compares the top 4, the top 6, the top 8, then they never will make it. So my point is this. Give them the respect they are due when they're playing well. And so we get to the end, hey, they beat Auburn, but Auburn didn't really want to play, so it doesn't count. So this is their second go-round. So all I'm saying is this. As we start now in the middle of the season, when the committee comes out and says, this is where we believe UCF is, I do not believe it's right to keep them there and let teams keep jumping them. Now, with that being said, Reese, I don't think that 3 Power 5s are getting left out of this thing. But I'm not willing to concede that UCF doesn't belong in this conversation as you throw Notre Dame in.
There you have it, folks. That's what Joey Galloway had to say about UCF belonging with the top dogs. And he is right. If you don't give them a chance to prove that they belong, then we'll never know if they truly do belong. Because last year when they played Auburn, they beat Auburn. The only undefeated team. They have won, I think, is 19 straight games right now. It's the longest active streak in FBS right now. So yes, I want them to get a shot. If they deserve it, if they go undefeated, why not give them a chance? Or we have to expand the playoffs to 8 teams, or else we'll never know if they belong. Because back in 2009, Boise State should have gotten a shot at the BCS title, but guess what? They didn't. They didn't, and they were arguably one of the best teams in all of college football. I don't care Alabama. I don't care about Texas, which was the top 2 teams that play in the BCS. We all remember Cole McCoy going down. I don't care. Boise State, led by Kellen Moore, the winningest quarterback in college football history, with 50 wins, Division I college football, 50 wins. He went 50-3. We'll never see another quarterback, or maybe another player for that matter, that has 50 wins, because everybody right now is only playing 2 years or 3 years and headed right into the NFL. So yes, I do believe that UCF needs a chance, just like Utah back in 2003. I want to say they deserved a shot. Boise deserved a shot, because I'm quite positive, actually 100% positive, Boise State, that Boise State 2019 would have beaten Alabama badly, because Kellen Moore was on a roll. One of the best quarterbacks I've seen in college football. 145 touchdowns, if my memory serves me right now. But I am gonna tell you why I think UCF belongs, and why is it so far-fetched that they don't. I mean that they do. Is it because of their schedule? Because right now, I'll tell you who Alabama has played. Alabama hasn't played anyone. And we're talking about the #1 team in the country. Yes, they are dismantling these teams that they've played, but I am going to read you their defenses. The defenses that Alabama has played. And then I'm going to compare them to the defenses UCF has played. All right, Alabama played Louisville, right? 93rd ranked defense in the country. 93rd out of 129 teams, 93rd defense. Arkansas State, 77th defense, giving up 392 yards per game. Ole Miss, yes, Ole Miss, a team that has won, I think it's 60 games in the past 10 years. In the past, was it 10? Is it 10 years or 8 years? Something like that. They've only won 60 games. They average 6 games a season. 6 games, 6 wins. 6 wins a season. Ole Miss, 123rd ranked defense. This is Alabama's schedule. 503 yards per game. The best defense Alabama has played is A&M at 23rd. 327 yards per game. Louisiana Lafayette, the Raging Cajuns, 118th in the nation. Arkansas, who cannot win a game, 85th defense in the nation. And then just this past week, Mizzou, 77th defense in the country. That is not too far off from what UCF has played. UCF has played UConn, which is literally the last defense in the country, 129th. South Carolina State, 90th. The game versus UNC was canceled week 3. Look at UNC's defense right now. They are ranked pretty high. I don't have the numbers right in front of me. Actually, matter of fact, give me 1 second. I'll let you know right now what UNC is ranked, because UNC defensively is ranked pretty high. Let's keep going. FAU, 113th ranked defense. Pitt, 95th defense in the country, 420 yards per game. SMU, 100th defense. And speaking about Pitt, why do we have Notre Dame ranked so high, right? Notre Dame right now is ranked pretty high in the rankings. Notre Dame is a number 4. Number 4. Yes, a team that nearly lost to Pitt, who UCF played. 95th ranked defense in the country. UCF dismantled that team 45-14. 45-14. Notre Dame, the fourth best team in the country, beat them 19-14. So why are we giving Notre Dame praise? And I don't want to hear people say, "Oh, Ian Book makes this team better." No, they're not, because remember 2013 when they reached was it 2013? Yeah, 2012, and they reached the championship game versus Alabama, 42-14. 42-14. They don't belong. They are showing, they're making us believe that they do belong, but they really don't. They really do not. But let me read you the UNC's ranked defense right now. They are not that bad of a defense these days. They are, give me 1 second. Like I said, I don't have it right in front of me. Yeah, they're 67th in the nation in total defense. That's not too far off from what Alabama has played. 77th, 85th, 118th, 23rd, 123rd, 77th, 93rd. Those are the defenses Alabama has played. Yes, UCF defenses are a little worse, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is they are very comparable right now. Very comparable. Those two schedules are very comparable. And there's nobody that can tell me no. Why? Because Alabama plays in the SEC. I get it. They play in the FCC and the SEC. But other than that, they haven't beat on anyone. They're beating teams that, dude, my daughters play better defense than these teams. It's incredible. And right now, UCF won by 1 point, yes, against Memphis, which is the 52nd ranked defense in the country, only allowing 364 yards per game. I mean, I don't want to hear that UCF doesn't belong when you have Alabama, the number 1 team in the country, posting those crazy numbers against these defenses. I mean, Georgia hadn't played anyone either. Anyone. The minute they play a good team with a good defense, very, very good defense, 33rd ranked defense in the country, LSU, they have one of some crazy defensive backs. They have Grandel Pitt, who has 3 interceptions. They have Jacob Phillips, which has another one. John Battle, that has 2 more. Greedy Williams, the best cornerback in the country, with 2 picks. I mean, it's incredible. The minute Georgia play a good team, a good defense, look what happened. They lost. They got dismantled. And right now, Georgia is struggling at quarterback. They don't know if they're going to go with Jake Fromm or if they are going to go with Justin Fields. I say go with Justin Fields, see what he can do for you. Yes, Jake Fromm, he's been winning for the Dogs, but guess what? He missed 3 touchdowns. 3 touchdowns in that game versus LSU. 3 touchdowns. And they lost by 20. So if he would have hit all 3 of those touchdowns, Georgia most likely would have won. They would have most likely won because they left 21 points off the board because Jake Fromm couldn't hit anyone. There was a little slant that he missed in the end zone, in the red zone. I'm sorry. He missed. It was a slant on the left side of the field. He was looking right side the whole time. He overthrows the football, doesn't see the receiver that came open on the left side of the field, and he would have hit that dude for a touchdown. And so that's what's happening right now. So I think Georgia should give Justin Fields an opportunity. Another thing, Georgia and Clemson. Well, Georgia not anymore. Well, they are one of the top teams in the country still. Georgia didn't drop that much after the loss. They're number 8. They went down 6 spots, but they play an FCS team. FCS. Uh, why? If you're in the SEC, which is supposed to mean the best conference, supposed to mean more, the best conference in football, there's no reason why you should be scheduling Austin P, or if you are Clemson, which you are just 2 years removed from a national championship, there's no reason you should be playing Furman, who has the 106th ranked defense in the FCS, which, if we want to be honest, that is like 300th in the FBS. So why are these teams playing FCS teams? I don't get it. Okay, look, Clemson has played better defenses. Yes, they have. They played Furman. That I'm not even gonna count that. But they played Texas A&M, which was 23rd. Georgia Southern, which was 46th. Georgia Tech, which is 67th. Syracuse, which is 84th. But Wake Forest, which is 122nd. Now, a lot of people are saying Clemson should be ranked number 2, right behind Alabama, and right before Ohio State. And my argument is why? Why should they be ranked ahead of Ohio State? Clemson hasn't shown me that anything this year. They haven't shown me anything. They've played Furman, like I said, Texas A&M, which it was an unranked opponent because they had lost to Alabama. Texas A&M. Oh, I'm sorry. This is before Texas A&M played Alabama. They were unranked. Then they played Georgia Southern, Georgia Tech, Syracuse. Syracuse almost beat them. Almost beat this Clemson team. A Clemson team that is nearly top 20 on every single defensive statistics out there. And that Clemson team almost lost to A&M, which I think they should have lost to A&M, by the way, and they nearly lost to Syracuse. And that's something that we've grown accustomed with Clemson. There's always going to be that one Pitt or that one Syracuse team that is going to beat them. This year, honestly, I think it's going to happen this week. I think it's going to be NC State. I like NC State to win that game versus Clemson. Yes, you can call it an upset, you can call it a prediction, whatever you want to call it. I personally picking NC State. The Clemson hasn't shown me anything. Clemson hasn't shown me that they can keep up with good defenses, because the one good defense that they had in common with Alabama is Texas A&M, 23rd, and they only beat them by 2 points. Only beat them by 2 points. All right. So I don't know how this is gonna go for Clemson this game, because NC State is coming in with this a top 20 scoring defense, number 16 to be exact, into this game this weekend. And I honestly do believe that NC State is going to win. I mean, they nearly beat them a couple of years ago. So I think it's going to happen for Clemson this week. I think another top 10 team is going to fall. We're going to get to the breakdown of my top 10 and who I think is going to win and lose, and who's going to get upset and who isn't. We'll get to that in a little bit. But that's the things I'm seeing. This is why I say UCF, they deserve a shot. Deserves a shot, because what's happening is people are saying, oh, you need to schedule better. Well, if that's the case, then why is Alabama getting a free ride every single year, to the college football playoffs? Because that's exactly what Alabama is doing. That's exactly what Clemson is doing. They're getting free rides. You are getting wins against teams you better beat. You better beat them. You better beat Louisville. Yeah, how can you not beat them? The only thing that kept that team together was Lamar Jackson, and he's not there anymore. Louisville is not looking like a football team right now. You better beat Arkansas State. Ole Miss. Ole Miss is an average team at best. 6-6 every single year. That's what they average. 6 wins a season. Texas A&M, that's just a glorified high school team, okay? Let's be honest. A glorified high school team, okay? Louisiana Lafayette, the Raging Cajuns, Arkansas, who can't seem to find a way to win. So, and Mizzou. I mean, are you seeing Drew Lock out there? He doesn't look like a college football quarterback. He doesn't look like he can be a pro at the next level. And this I'm just talking about from all the games I've seen in Missouri. To me, he doesn't look like he can make the next level. But that's just to me. You may have a different opinion than I do. That's to me. That's my opinion. All right? So that's why I believe UCF belongs. Just like Boise State belonged back in the day when they beat TCU. They beat TCU, the number 3 team in the country back in 2009. It was TCU. And they play Boise State in the bowl game. And Boise State and Kellen Moore got them 17-10. Go back to that game. You can rewatch it if you want. Kellen Moore, one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game, got TCU. Back in 2003 or 2, when Alex Smith was playing for Utah, when Urban Meyer was coaching them, they had the perfect season too. And they also didn't get a shot at the playoffs. And if this is what's going to happen, then give the group of 5 a championship game, just like Division II does. You know how North Dakota State is always there. The Bisons are always in there. The group of 5, they deserve a national championship game. If you're not going to let them play Power 5 teams or get to the Power 5 playoffs, because this is what it is. It isn't a college football playoffs. Let's be honest right here, okay? It's a Power 5 playoffs. That's what it is. Power 5 teams. Only because that's what I'm seeing. I mean, if you're gonna be, I'm going to read you Ohio State and the defenses that Ohio State has played. Okay, Ohio State played Oregon State, 128th ranked defense, 128th. Rutgers, the team that everybody is asking for their coach to get fired. Chris Ash, they want him out of there. 104th. TCU, 15th ranked defense. Tulane, 109th. Penn State, 45th. Indiana, 62nd. And we just played Minnesota, the 44th ranked defense in the country. Yes, Ohio State has had an array of bad defenses that they played against. Oregon State, Rutgers, and Tulane. Then you have your average defenses like the Indianas and Minnesota, 62nd and 44th. Then you have your semi-decent defense on Penn State, and then you have a top 20 defense in TCU. This is more than you can say about Alabama's. Alabama has the top 23. That's the best defense they play is at Texas A&M. And look, I'm an Ohio State fan, but I am a fair person. If you compare UCF's defenses that they played against versus Ohio State defenses, look, Ohio State has a couple of good defenses that they play, and they've won. They won against Penn State, which is always a good game. So I'm not going to fault Ohio State for winning by 1 point because it was a whiteout, it was a night game, it was a hostile environment, one of the most hostile environments in all of college football. The Ohio State went in there, won by 1 point, 27-26. We all saw that, we all witnessed. And then Ohio State beat TCU by 12 points, 40-28. So against good defenses, it's not going to be a blowout like Alabama has. Alabama beat A&M by a couple of scores, 22 points. All right, let's not act like they beat them like they're beating everybody else 60-3. It's not gonna happen. Just like Clemson did to Wake Forest, 65-3. No, that's not what Clemson is doing. All right, Clemson played a semi-good defense. A&M, 2 points. Syracuse, which is 84th, mind you, 84th, and they were trailing nearly the entire game. Actually, they were trailing the entire game until the very end, when Travis Etienne decided to run for nearly 300 yards. I mean, the dude went nuts. All right, the only reason Clemson won against Syracuse is because Syracuse took their foot off the gas in the second half. If they don't do that, there is no way in hell that Clemson wins that game, because Syracuse was stepping on their throat in the first half. All right, so, but that being said, dude, UCF, they play defenses just as bad as everybody else in the top four. And what? Because they're a group of 5 team, they don't deserve a shot. I want to see the best teams in college football. I don't want to see the best teams in the Power 5. I want to see the best teams in college football. We can talk about this till I'm red in the face, and you're going to, of course, go against my narrative, go against Joey Galloway's narrative, and you're probably going to be one of those people like Reese Davis or Kurt Herbstreit talking about it's ludicrous, just like the parade they had at Disney World when they crowned themselves national champions. But we will never know if we don't give them a fair shot. Let them go against Alabama. Let them go against Ohio State. Let them go against Clemson, Georgia, LSU, Florida, Michigan State. The good teams, right? Because what's happening is nobody's going to schedule. Nobody's going to schedule them. Who in the Power 5 is going to schedule UCF? A UCF from right now. A Utah from the 2000s. A Boise State from 2009. Who's going to schedule these people in the Power 5? Nobody in the Power 5. Look, Alabama had a home and home against Michigan State, and they canceled that. They backed out of the home and home against Michigan State. And yes, Michigan State is a Power 5 opponent, but all I'm trying to say is they won't. They don't do it. The SEC, or rather Alabama, does not want to do true road games. They don't want to put themselves in a position where they could potentially lose. But guess what, Nick? This is college football. You win some, you lose some. All right? So you have to start scheduling these schools. Or the NCAA has to have like a rule where you don't play Mercer or the Citadel or Furman or Joey P or Austin P, I'm sorry, and you schedule somebody from the Power 5, from the Group of 5. All right? Because it's not fair. You're giving $1 million to a school just to whoop their ass. And you're going to whoop their ass. It's only a matter of how bad it's going to be. It's not a matter of are you going to beat them. No. It's a matter of how bad are you going to beat them. Look, we schedule Oregon State, which is still, it's not an FCS school. It's still Power 5, a Group of 5 opponent. Dude, we whooped their ass. But guess what? They are in the FBS division. We don't have to go to the FCS. Ohio State doesn't have to go FCS. Okay? So why is the ACC, the SEC doing this? What? Dude, really? The Citadel, Mercer, right before your rivalry game? That's the part that kills me the most. Right before your rivalry game, you will schedule a cakewalk, a cupcake opponent. Yes, Alabama, I'm talking to you. Dude, it's unfathomable to me that you guys do that you guys put cupcakes right before you guys play Auburn. And you guys better be Auburn this year because they're not good. They are not a good team by any means. They already have 3 losses. Gus Malzahn is probably, he probably has his day counted right there. at Jordan Hare Stadium down in Auburn. I don't think he will come back next season, although there's a $34 million payout if they do decide to get rid of him. But I don't know what Auburn is going to do there. They have a decision to make. The president of the school already said he's not happy with what's going on. The players, he said he wants the players to do their job, the coach to do his job. But as far as this whole situation that's been going on with Auburn over the past, few weeks and the past few years, if we want to be realistic, they're not happy with Gus Malzahn and his performance. His performance haven't been up to par. He's not 2010 shape. I'll say that much. And 2010 was a long time ago. Long time ago. All right? Cam Newton winning the national championship. This is not Chris Davis returning back that crazy kickoff against Alabama. These are not those days. All right? Since losing the national championship against the Gators, not the Gators, the Noles in 2013, Auburn, these are their season so far. Since 2013 to 2014 to right now, Auburn has gone 8-5, 7-6, 8-5, 10-4. I don't know their record right now. I haven't been really paying attention to Auburn. I mean, I guess I suppose I could look it up, right? But yeah, Auburn is in trouble. Not Auburn. Auburn is not in trouble. I should say Gus Malzahn is definitely in trouble. He might not be coming back next year, but if they don't come back, I mean, Auburn is 4-3 right now. If Gus Malzahn doesn't come back, then they have to pay him. I mean, they have to pay him. It's the $34 million. And who the hell wants to pay $34 million as a buyout? Like, just go home, take your $34 million, bye, goodbye. Who the hell wants to do that? I wouldn't want to do that. The hell with that. I wouldn't want to do that. Okay, we're going to get off of Auburn right now. I want to talk about Alabama. Alabama has Tennessee coming up. This Saturday they play at 3:30 p.m. on CBS. And Tua should be sitting out this game. He should be sitting out the game. I hope Alabama does sit him because there's no point on playing them, all right? Tennessee is 3-3. Tennessee hasn't been playing good football the past few years. At least, they have a win, have 3 wins this year. But Tennessee hasn't been playing very good football. The last time they won 10 games was in 2007. That's the last time Tennessee won 10 games. They went 10-4, and ever since then it has been 5-7, 7-6, 6-7, 5-7, 5-7, 5-7. It's been bad for Tennessee. 7-6, 9-4, 9-4, 4-8, and now this year they are 3-3. They haven't been doing well. They just finally won their first SEC game since 2016, because last year they had a big goose egg versus SEC opponents. So Tennessee is not playing very good football. So Jalen Hurts will probably get the start, which is good. Tua needs to rest that knee if Alabama wants to have a shot at the playoffs. Not just at the playoffs, but in the playoffs. Because that offense is designed to move around and work around Tua Tagovailoa. Jalen Hurts, as we know, he's not the passer. Tua is completing 71, almost 72% of his passes this season. How many? What is it? Like 1 interception, maybe. I could be wrong right now. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. I think actually he might not have an interception yet. I think he doesn't have a interception. No, he doesn't. He has 21 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. and of course he's the front runner for the Heisman. He has Dwayne Haskins, the Ohio State quarterback, right behind him. Haskins has 29 touchdowns, 4 interceptions this year so far. He has 2,331 yards. I mean, Haskins is putting video game numbers. He's probably going to break the Ohio State touchdown record, which season record, which is 35. Is it 35 or 36? It's one of those two. I can't remember right now. I'm pretty sure it's 35 touchdowns in a season. He's definitely going to crush that. He only needs 7 more, and there are 5 games left in the season. Haskins is averaging 4 touchdowns a game, so I'm pretty sure he will end up breaking the the touchdown season record. In maybe not this game, but in 2 weeks, 3 weeks time. Play time. I'm not counting the bye week, of course, but in maybe 3 games, in the upcoming 3 games, Haskins should break the record for most passing touchdowns or most touchdowns in a season by an Ohio State quarterback. But yeah, Alabama should sit down, Tagovailoa. There's no reason to aggravate that knee anymore. he already he left last game. He left last game with discomfort on the knee, so there's no reason to put any pressure on him to play this game versus Tennessee. There's really no need for him to play. He can rest this week of this game, and in the event that things go bad for Alabama, which they doubt it, then they can bring him in the second half, whatever. But the ideal plan for Tua would be to rest this game. Then they have the bye week coming, which is more rest for Tua, and then they go and play LSU in Death Valley. And that I am ready for that game, so ready, because not because it's LSU versus Alabama and LSU is good again. Not because of that. It's because I finally want to see how Tua performs against a very good defense, extremely good defense, with some of the best defensive backs in the nation right now. LSU has the number 1 defensive back in the nation, Greedy Williams. So that is why I'm very curious to watch this game, because Alabama and LSU are 2 juggernauts in the SEC, and LSU is finally clicking in all cylinders, it seems. Even though they slipped up against Florida, they came back with a monumentous win against Georgia, 36-16. It was a sight to see that game. It was great. They steamrolled them, and it was beautiful. It was beautiful to see. It was beautiful to see Joey Burrow doing so well. As an Ohio State fan, I was very proud of the guy, because he was a Buckeye for 4 years, pretty much, and he always stood strong, and he could have transferred at any given time, but he decided to wait. He tried fighting for his job. Unfortunately for him, it didn't happen. Haskins won the starting competition, and we see why. We can see through the season why Haskins won it and Joey did it. But it doesn't matter. I mean, Joey being a former Buckeye, is always good to see him perform so well. Yes, personally, he's not doing too well. He's doing enough. Okay? He's doing enough for LSU to win the games. But if LSU's run game can get going and Joey Burrow can keep the ball away from the Bama defense, then yeah, I think LSU has a chance against Alabama. But we'll probably talk about that next week. We have to get into this week's matchups. But yes, I'm very excited for that game, Alabama LSU. I want to see Tua Tagovailoa, how he performs against a defense, against actual good defenders, and not a defense that's ranked dead last in the FBS, pretty much. I wanna see how it plans out, because we saw Haskins, how he performed. All right, the offensive line for Ohio State has been questionable at best this year. If you've seen the game, if you are seeing the same games that I'm watching, then you will see that sometimes our guards are looking like revolving doors. Our tackles are looking like revolving doors. Anybody can get through there. Anybody, in and out, in and out, in and out. I mean, Haskins needs time in the pocket. He is a true passer. He's not a scrambling quarterback. He's not a Trace McSorley. He's not a J.T. Barrett. He's not a Troy Smith. Troy Smith was a very good passer, but he had the ability to run. Haskins has the ability to run. He's a capable runner, but he isn't a dual threat quarterback. He is a true pocket passing quarterback, which is what Ohio State has needed all along. Yes, J.T. Barrett was great. He won us games, but who was the one who won the national championship for Ohio State? Yes, it was Cardale Jones, a pocket passer. He could run, but he wasn't J.T. Barrett. All right, J.T. Barrett was more shifty, was quicker. He was more of a runner who happened to be a passing quarterback as well, right? Haskins is a true passing quarterback. He's a from the packet type of quarterback. So the offensive line needs to do better. But against TCU, if you watch the game against TCU, even if you're not an Ohio State fan, you can go on YouTube, rewatch the game. You can see all the pressure TCU was sending, and the offensive line couldn't pick up everything. The offensive line plus the running back, the blocking wasn't there, so Haskins was a little bit under duress. Same thing happened against Penn State. Penn State wasn't sending as much heat as TCU was sending, but they were covering very well. So Haskins had to do a lot of screen passes and short passes, check down passes, and then let his skill players, his receivers, go out for the football and make plays happen. Which, if you saw, Benjamin Victor had that crazy 47-yard touchdown. I think it was 47 yards. I can't remember right now. He had that crazy 47-yarder, 50-yarder, something like that, and took and housed it. But that's what I want to see. Haskins was able to perform and bring Ohio State back in two amazing fourth quarters. Against TCU, TCU wasn't so much the fourth quarter as it was the second half. But Penn State, it was all under 8 minutes to go, down by 12. Can Haskins bring Ohio State back into this game? Can he win the game for Ohio State? And yes, he could. He did what he had to do. That's what I want to see. I want to see if Tua Tagovailoa can do the same for Alabama against a good defense. Because I sincerely cannot say that Alabama is that good of a team because they're dismantling shitty defenses. I cannot give them credit. I will give them credit for dismantling the teams. I will give them credit. But do you want to know who the top 3 scoring offenses are in the nation right now? It's Alabama, Ohio State, and UCF. Yes, UCF, the same team I talked about at the beginning of the episode, and how they deserve a fair shot. Yes, they do deserve a fair shot. They have the number 3 scoring offense in the nation, behind Alabama and Ohio State. And again, if you want to use the argument, but who has UCF played? Who has Alabama played? Just because these teams Alabama is playing are in the SEC doesn't mean they're any good. Believe me. Arkansas and Rutgers, they're in the same boat. And they're both Power 5 teams. Both of them. Power 5 teams. UCF is a Group of 5 team that is 6-0. Yes, undefeated. USF, 6-0. Cincinnati, 6-0. I mean, and we're talking about Group of 5 teams. And if you watched last year, you would have seen that UCF and USF were fucking legit. Like, as legit as they fucking come, really. If you wanna be real with yourself, they were legit. UCF even went on ahead to beating Auburn. Yes, they beat Auburn. Mackenzie Milton is, to my opinion, one of the funnest quarterbacks to watch in the nation. He is that good, and he is fun. He's fun to watch. He is a very good dual threat quarterback out of Hawaii. And I don't know what's going on with these Hawaiian quarterbacks, but man, they're good. Jordan Ta'amu, Tua, Mackenzie Milton, Cole McDonald. I mean, it's insane how good these cats are. But yes, that's why I'm making the argument that Alabama needs. I need to see Alabama play better competition for me to judge them appropriately. If they can dismantle LSU, the number 5 team in the nation right now, LSU, who has 3 top 10 wins, three top 10 wins, then I will say Alabama is the number 1 team in the nation. Until then, I cannot put them on number 1. I mean, they are number 1 because they're taking care of the business. You know, they're beating. Okay, they are doing exactly what UCF is supposed to do, right? The committee said, beat your schedule. Just play your games, beat your games, win your games, and eye test. You have to pass the eye test, dude. UCF has been passing the eye test for 2 years now. 2 years. They're doing the same thing Alabama is doing. All right? Alabama is playing a bunch of nobodies, Hoover high schools, like Team Tebow would say, and they're taking care of business. Well, UCF, guess what? They're also playing a whole bunch of Hoover high schools, and they're taking care of business. They're doing what they're supposed to do. But why is Alabama number 1? UCF is number 10. That's why I don't get. I mean, we have to give UCF a little more credit. Okay? We have to start respecting this team because this team is legit. No, am I saying that they can beat Alabama? No, I'm not saying that. Am I saying they can beat somebody in the top 4? Damn right I am saying that. If UCF would have played Clemson instead of Syracuse being the one playing Clemson, believe me, Clemson would have had a loss in their record right now because UCF would have stumped their ass into the ground. And I'm sorry, but it is true. You cannot sit there and tell me, nah, they wouldn't have. How the hell would you know? How would you know? Look, right now, I'm not impressed by anything Clemson is doing. Clemson has a true freshman quarterback, has a backup quarterback who is also a freshman. There's nothing to be impressed by Clemson other than their defense. Look, better hope and pray that defense keeps Clemson in this game right now against NC State, because Clemson isn't a wow team right now. Their offense, is not wowing anyone. Yeah, they dismantle Wake Forest. Well, yes, guess what? The Wake Forest is 122nd in the nation. Ohio State dismantled Oregon State. Oregon State is 128th ranked defense in the nation. We better dismantle these fucking teams. I mean, we have to call a spade a spade. At some point, we really have to call a spade a spade. All right? Clemson hasn't played anyone. Literally has not played a ranked opponent yet. Has yet to play a ranked opponent. Their first ranked opponent is coming this week. And then I want to see how Trevor Lawrence is going to perform. Because as good as they are they going to perform? I don't know. I haven't seen, I can tell you, they haven't played any quality opponents. So I cannot say, oh yeah, no, Trevor Lawrence can definitely do it. Dude, this is not high school anymore. You might have been the best prospect coming out of high school. This is in high school. All right, there's levels to this shit right here. Right now, college, dude, the players are faster, stronger than they are in high school, than they were in high school. Just like when you transition into the NFL, players are way better than you will ever think you'll be. They're faster, stronger, better than you are. They have the experience, and that might happen against NC State. I want to see if Trevor Lawrence can really, pull it off. If he can beat NC State, which is a pretty good team, I'm going to get to the breakdown in a little bit. Not yet, but we'll get to the breakdown. Then yes, I would say, all right, maybe. But I'm not going to give them credit like that, though. because they only have one ranked opponent. One ranked opponent in their schedule. And I'm sorry, I cannot give them credit because they haven't played anyone. Just like I wasn't giving Georgia credit because they hadn't played anyone. And guess what happened? The minute they finally play someone, Georgia finally played someone, guess what happened? Dude, they lost. Georgia ended up taking an L. They finally played someone and they lost to LSU. So now, can LSU do the same thing against Bama? We'll see. But yes, Clemson, out of the 6 games that Clemson has left, only one is a ranked opponent, and it's this weekend versus North Carolina State, the Wolfpack. And I'm telling you, I like the Wolfpack for this game. So you can sound the alarm. Upset alert. I like NC State. I like NC State to beat Clemson this week because I haven't seen enough from Trevor Lawrence. He hasn't played any quality defense. The only defense that, the only semi-decent team they played was Syracuse. And A&M. A&M almost nearly got them. And if you remember correctly, Kelly Bryant had to come in that game and bail his ass out. And bail Clemson and Dabo Swinney out. Yes, Kelly Bryant, the guy, the starting quarterback for a 2-year starting quarterback, formerly starting quarterback for Clemson. He's not there anymore. He came in that game and bailed their asses out. But that is what I got in respects to UCF, the top teams, and how I feel about them. Now, I want to talk about Mike Stoops. Mike Stoops got fired from Oklahoma University as the defensive coordinator. I wanna go over the breakdown of his time there. In the 7 seasons that Mike Stoops was the defensive coordinator for Oklahoma, these are the breakdowns, right? And we're gonna start in 2012, so bear with me. He allowed 206.1 passing yards, 192.2 rushing yards, and 398 total yards. 2013 got a little better on the rushing perspective in the rushing portion of the equation. 2013 they allow 212.5 passing yards, 137.6 rushing yards. This is of course per game. And 350.1 total yards per game. This is no good. He hasn't been doing, he wasn't trending in a good direction. In 2014, his defense gave up 382 yards per game. In 2015, he was giving up 364 yards per game. 2016 was arguably his worst year there. 269 passing yards, 162.6 rushing yards given up to opposing teams, and 432 total yards given up to opponents per game. Insane. And now this year, halfway through the year when he got fired, he was trending upwards, not upwards, downwards. So far, mid-season, through the first 6 games or 5 games that he coached this year, he gave up 400. He was giving up 421 yards per game. He was trending negatively the whole entire time. So, look, the best year he had was he was only allowing 350 yards per game, and that was in 2013, 5 years ago. This is his best season that he had a defensive coordinator, 350 yards per game. So now they brought in Ruffin McNeil. And Ruffin McNeil, he was the defensive coordinator for Texas Tech 2008 and 2009. And he was also the defensive coordinator for Fresno State in 1999. So when he was in Fresno State, he was giving up his defense was giving up 255 passing yards per game, 126 rushing yards per game, and 381 total yards per game. This is already better than pretty much all of them except for 2013 for Mike Stoops. Then, when he took over the reins at Texas Tech, he was giving up 380. He gave up 382.6 total yards per game in 2008, and then in 2009, his defense got a little better, which he was giving up only 352.4 yards per game. Do I think this is an upgrade? Yes, I do. I do think it's an upgrade. Ruffin McNeil, he's definitely giving up. He is very good at stopping the run. I'm not going to say that only giving up 126 yards per game over the course of a season is good, but it isn't bad. All right, when you compare what Mike Stoops was doing, he was giving up 192 yards per game, rushing yards per game, 137, 106, his best year again, 2014, 161, 162, 156, and 156. You're bringing in somebody that's only allowing 126 yards per rushing yards per game. That is much better, much better. Now, Mike Stoops was definitely better at stopping the pass. He had 3 seasons where it was bad. He gave up 276 passing yards per game in 2014, 269 passing yards per game in 2016, and 264 passing yards per game in 2018. So far this year, that's how many he gave up. Other than that, he had 206, 212, 202, and 238. So yes, I do think Ruffin McNeil is definitely an upgrade from Mike Stoops, especially in the Big 12. All right, in the Big 12, this is a conference where it is known for not playing any sort of defense whatsoever, and I don't know why that is. It's like, didn't you just recruit a 5-star DB? Then why the hell isn't your defense stopping anything? Like, come on, buddy, get it together. This is a offense defense deal right here. It's a team, not an offense and no defense. So in the Big 12, you need defense. Okay, an offense, offense you got plenty in the Big 12. It's a shootout any given night. All right, any given Saturday you have a shootout in the Big 12. Now, why do you want to impress me with a Big 12 game? Play some defense. Don't give up 60 fucking points a game, nearly every week. And if you want to impress me, play some defense. Play defense. Right now, Texas is playing very good defense. Texas is playing very good defense in the Big 12, and I like it. I like that Texas is, quote unquote, back. They won their game against the rivalry game, the Red River rivalry, against their rival Oklahoma, which is what got Mike Stoops fired. But still, that was 45 points. It was incredible. Dude, there was like 90 points in that game, or pretty damn near. It was insane, okay? So that's what got Mike Stoops fired. I do like the hiring of Ruffin McNeil. His defense actually, I think the defense will start trending upwards at some point, maybe. I'm hoping. Then again, this is Oklahoma we're talking about in the Big 12. Like I said, shootout any given Saturday. So hopefully, they get it together and this defense starts helping. All right, now I want to talk about the one-loss teams. The one-loss teams that I like. I like 3 of them. 3 one-loss teams, and if I had to put a one-loss team into the playoffs, assuming that you could, there's definitely gonna be a few more losses and a few more upsets, and there's gonna be a few more shakeups in the top 10. But the one team I like right now is LSU. Yes, LSU. No, not just because they beat Georgia. No, that's not why. No, I like LSU because they are coming in right now with the 17th scoring defense in the nation. They are 33rd ranked defense, and they have some of the best corners in the nation, including Greedy Williams, the best corner in the nation. And it's just their wins. Their wins right now is amazing. They have three top 10 wins already. They beat former number 8 Miami first week of the season. Then they beat Auburn, which was ranked number 7, and then this past week they just beat UGA, was Georgia, which was number 2. If but the thing about LSU is it's a crazy proposition to put them there because they still have to play Alabama in 2 weeks. And let's not forget, I hope they don't gloss over this week's opponent in Mississippi State. All right, Mississippi State is sneaky good this year. Sneaky good. So I hope LSU is not just looking forward to Alabama and thinking, oh, this is going to be a cakewalk because this is college football and anything can happen any given Saturday. Believe me, Mississippi State is a very good team this year. I'm not saying they're a great team. They're not saying they're an elite team. I'm just saying they're a very decent team. We'll get to the breakdown of that game in a little bit. I also, because LSU has to win out, every one-loss team pretty much has to win out, right? Because LSU has Alabama, I've chosen 2 more contenders, right? I have Texas, and I also have Michigan. Texas, right here we have 5, 6, and 7. Yeah, those are in that order in the AP Top 25. Michigan is definitely Michigan right now.
I'm not sure.
Oh shit! Sorry about that. Michigan right now has one of the best chances to get in because their strength of record is not all that, right? There are 13th in strength of record, which is good. It's a top 20 strength of record situation they have going for themselves. But they are 6th in the AP poll, number 2 total defense in the country behind Miami. They have the number 9th scoring defense, but what was holding them back for me is the only win they have is Wisconsin, and this is not a very good Wisconsin team. This is a Wisconsin team that lost to BYU, and that loss looks uglier and uglier every single day. So this win for Michigan is not. I'm not gonna say it's not a good win because Harbaugh definitely needed to win a big game because he's known for not winning games, for not winning the big one. So I also like Michigan, and I also like Texas. Texas being 3 top 25 teams. USC, TCU, and of course OU, which is when everybody went nuts. Texas is back. Dicker the kicker. They have 22nd strength of record. And they're 7th in the AP poll. So for me, I have to go with LSU. But like I said, that's an ugly proposition right there because of who they have coming up. They have a very good Mississippi State team. Then they also have to play Alabama in a couple of weeks. So it's going to be very, very, very good. Yes, they play Alabama in 3 weeks' time because they have Alabama has the bye week coming up. And then LSU plays Alabama. Alabama is going to Death Valley on November 3rd. And we're about to see what's really going on with Alabama. And I'm not going to say what's really going on with LSU because LSU's only loss is to another top 25 team, which is the Gators, which the Gators right now are ranked 11th in the nation, right behind UCF. So yes, I do like. This is a good matchup. I like LSU. I'm not saying I like LSU to win the matchup. I'm saying I like LSU to be my one-loss team that could potentially get in the playoffs. I think they would be the one to do it. if anyone is going to do it, it's going to be LSU. Because Michigan, the reason I don't think Michigan will do it is because they have little brother Sparty coming up this Saturday. I get it. They're playing very well, but Harbaugh doesn't have a good track record versus Sparty. He's only beat them once, one time, right? Harbaugh has only beaten Sparty one time in his time at U of M. So I don't know. This could definitely be an upset. I don't know. I'm gonna break down that game in a little bit, but this could definitely be an upset for Sparty. I mean, yeah. I don't know. I don't know. But speaking of breakdown, man, let's get into the breakdown of these games real fast, so we can close out today's episode. I'm going to talk about the three matchups that I like for this week, for week 8. Of course, I'm an Ohio State fan, so I like Ohio State, and I like them to beat Purdue. Should be able to beat Purdue. Purdue has a very good running back, averaging 6.5 yards per carry, 7.2 yards per carry. DJ Knox he's very good. The quarterback is average. He's completing 68% of his passes, but Ohio State's defense haven't been looking good. So, however, I do like Ohio State. Ohio State, what they have to do is stop the run. Stop the run game. Make David Blah, the quarterback for Purdue, beat you with his arm, because he's at 68, which is still good. 68 completion percent is good. 68% completion is very good for a quarterback. Not everybody is going to be Haskins, Tua, or Baker Mayfield completing 71% of his passes last year, or Colt McCoy when he completed 76% of his passes, which he still holds the record, by the way. 76% of his passes for a season. That is the record, which is Colt McCoy, 2008, I want to say. I think it was 2008. It was 2008, 2009. Positive it was 2008, though. But not everybody's going to be, a 76% completion quarterback. But, yes, I want Ohio State. I think Ohio State wins that game 40-24. But if Ohio State is going to win the game decisively, then Ohio State has to stop the run, because DJ Knox is averaging 7.2 yards per carry, and Ohio State is giving nearly 5 yards to opposing running backs. The defensive line is just simply not there. So for Ohio State to win, that's what they have to do. Stop the run. That is the number one thing. Stop the run. And also Ohio State has to get their running game going. Yes, our running backs are averaging. Our running backs are averaging nearly five yards a pop, but still, J.K. Dobbins is only averaging 71 yards per game, and that's no good for a Ohio State quarterback. For the standard that Ohio State quarterbacks have set out, it's not good, and it's not good, period. If you really want to be honest right now, 71 yards per game is no good for any running back in the nation. It doesn't matter who you are. But let's get into the games that I like for this week. We're going to start with LSU versus Mississippi State. LSU versus Mississippi State is going to be a good game. All right? It's going to be a good game there. You might see fireworks. We might see a lot of fireworks right here, because LSU is coming in with the number 17 scoring defense in the nation, only allowing 16.9, so 17 points per game. But Mississippi State is coming in with the number 1 scoring defense in the nation. Number 1 scoring defense in the nation. They're only giving up 12.7 points per game. That's insane. That's amazing. That's less than 2 touchdowns. That's a touchdown and 2 field goals. Yep, two touchdowns. I mean, a touchdown and two field goals. So it's crazy, right? They're giving up 13 points a game. LSU, they come in with a 69th ranked offense. Okay, for LSU to win this game, it's going to be on Joe Burrow. All right, Joe Burrow has to win this game for them, and Nick Brossette has to do a better job of rushing. All right, Joe Burrow is 92nd in passing efficiency, 92nd in the country. Dude, Mississippi State has the number 8 overall defense in the country. They're only allowing 289.7 yards per game. That's all they're giving up. So Joe Burrow has to get out of his shell. He's only averaging 202 yards per game. It worked for Georgia because LSU finally got their running game going against Georgia. That's why that really worked for LSU. But LSU has to do. I'm sorry, not LSU. Joe Burrow has to do more. He has to do more for his team. He has to create in the passing game. That way, it can open up for the running game. Because if you get the running game going like it got going against LSU, versus Georgia, look at what happened. They completely dismantled Georgia. I'm sorry. LSU, Edwards-Helaire had 19 carries for 145 yards. So he might be the one getting the start right now on a running back. But Joey Burrow didn't have a single touchdown. A single touchdown. So Joe Burrow has to do more. Joe Burrow has to do more for his team. Not a single touchdown. He was 15 for 30 for 200 yards. That's who Joe Burrow is. It's an average quarterback right now. But what happened was LSU finally got the running game going. Let's see how many rushing yards they had. They had a total of 275 rushing yards versus Georgia. Nick Brossette, he only had 64 yards, 4 yards a pop. So he needs to do more. Joey Burrow had 2 touchdowns rushing. 2 rushing touchdowns. He needs to do more in the passing game. That's what I'm saying. Joe Burrow needs to get out of his shell. He needs to start reading the defenses better. It's a 92 passing efficiency. That's not good. It's not good when you're going up against the number 8 total defense in the country. Mississippi State lost to UF. That's a good loss. When we're talking about good losses, Mississippi State has a good loss because they lost to UF, right? Florida, University of Florida. The University of Florida, the Gators, they beat LSU, and LSU beat Georgia. So that loss for Mississippi State is a good loss. They have 2 losses though, so no playoff hopes for them. But Nick Brossette has to do better. He has to do better running the football. Joey Burrow has to do better in the passing game. He's doing enough. All he's doing is doing enough to win the games. He's not, which is is all you can ask of a quarterback. Is really just win me the game. But Joe Burrow is doing enough. He's not turning the ball over. He had 0 interceptions against Georgia. He was averaging 6.7 yards per pass, which is really good. And that's what you want him to do. He's a very good game manager. That's pretty much who Joey Burrow has been right now, and who he was against Georgia. The defense played a very good game. The running game was there for them, so that's what they have to do. They have to be consistent on the running game against the number 19 rush defense in the nation. They're only giving up 115 yards per game. Mississippi State's defense is. They come in with a top 20 rush defense. They they can definitely stop the run, and that's what LSU needs to do to win this game, just like they did versus Georgia. Get the running game going. You have to get that running game going because Joey Burrow, he's going to manage the game pretty good. He's a very good game manager. He's not going to turn the ball over. That's not who he is. He's not a interception here and interception there type of guy. He will manage the game well. And speaking of Joey Burrow and interceptions, if you notice when he threw those two picks against Florida, one was definitely on him. The pick six was on him. The other one really wasn't on him. The other one, he was trying to create a play, and that should have never happened because the receivers dropped 3 passes back to back to back in that final drive versus Florida. Joey Burrow, he's a good game manager. He's doing what he has to do. He's managing the game to put LSU in a good position to win games, just like he did against Auburn. He managed the game perfectly well. He drove them down the field, got them in field goal range, kicked the field goal, they win the game. You know how the story went. That's who Joey Burrow is, but he needs to be more than just that this week. He needs to be more than just that this week. He needs to be more than just that November 3rd against Alabama. He cannot just be content with being a very good manager. He has to become a great quarterback in these 2 weeks because you're going up against the number 1 scoring defense, the number 19 rush defense, and the number 8 overall defense in the nation. And that's what you have to do to win this game. Because right now, Mississippi State has the 47th offense in the nation, 430 yards per game. LSU has the number 17 scoring defense in the nation. So it's going to be a good game. It's definitely going to be a good game. It's going to be a matter of, I think, in my opinion, it's going to be who will have the football last wins the game, right? And another thing LSU has to do, they need to get the ball out of the running backs. They need to get the ball out of the running backs' hands, and they need to keep Nick Fitzgerald in the pocket. You don't want Nick Fitzgerald to start running. He is the Mississippi State's leading rusher. He has 98 carries for 513 yards and 7 touchdowns. He's averaging 5.2 yards per carry. It's insane. But in the passing game, however, he's only completing 49% of his passes. Has 4 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. That's who you want. If you're LSU's defense, that's who you want with the football in his hand. It's Nick Fitzgerald in the passing game, not rushing the football. So maybe you might have to load up the box to stop the running game, which is okay. Because when you have good corners like LSU does, you can allow yourself to do that. You have corners like Grandel Pitt, Greedy Williams. You have defensive leaders like Devin White back there. These are players that can play man to man. So if in case you have to bring one safety down to load up the box, put 8 players on the box, you can do that just to stop Nick Fitzgerald's running game, because he is a very good running quarterback. If that's what you have to do, then that's what you have to do, because he's only completing 49% of his passes. So Greedy Williams, he's a very good number 1 corner in the country. He is very good on an island. You can leave him on an island, and just like Revis was in the NFL, Revis Island, this is Greedy Island. Greedy Island, he can do it. I believe that he can do it. And yes, load up the box, stop the run, make Fitzgerald beat you with his arm, which I don't think he will be able to. Greedy Williams, let him do his thing. Del Pitt, let him do his thing. They got this. They can do it. They can be on islands, and they are very good cover corners. So just load up the box, stop Nick Fitzgerald, don't let him run. If you have to bring safety blitz, then do what you have to do. You can actually allow yourself to put these two great corners that you guys have on islands, and LSU can win this game. Just go man to man, load up the box. The corners are good enough that, very, very good, very great corners that they will be able to stop Nick Fitzgerald's passing ability, which only completing 50% of your passes is not good. All right, 49.6 completions is not good. So that's what I like to see LSU do in this game. Load out the box, stop Nick Fitzgerald. You have good enough DBs that they can stop Nick Fitzgerald from making any completion or completing too many passes, eating you up for big explosive plays in the passing game. So just stop the run. That's LSU that's the key. Is get your running game going, is stop Nick Fitzgerald from running the football himself, and that should be enough to win. And Joe Burrow, again, he's not a guy who turns the football over. He will be able to manage the game and put LSU in a good position to be 7-1 after this Saturday and continue with their great season. I will be another top 25 win. It will be just padding that resume straight into the November 3rd meeting versus Alabama. All right, let's talk about the game of the week. Number 6 Michigan versus number 24 Michigan State. Yes, this is going to be a good game. Who's gonna win? I don't know. I don't know who's gonna win. Jim Harbaugh, he hasn't been very good against Sparty. He only has one win versus the Spartans in the time he's been there coaching at Michigan. He only has one win, and that came 2 years ago. But this game, I honestly think Michigan is gonna win. I think, I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know. I cannot tell you who's gonna win, but I do think Michigan wins, even though Michigan State has won 8 of the last 10 meetings. 8 of the last 10, Mark Antonio has beaten Michigan. Now, the one thing that Michigan State has is they have the number 1 rushing defense in the country. They're only giving up 62.3 yards per game. Karen Higdon, the running back for the Wolverines, he comes in number 9th in the nation in rushing yards. He averages 114.5 yards per game and 5.7 yards per carry. So we already know that the Michigan State defense is good enough to stop the run, which they probably will. So it will leave Shea Patterson. It will put the ball in Shea Patterson's hands to beat him. Again, I don't think Shea Patterson is as good as people are saying he is. He's another average passer, a 68, 69% completion passer. Another great game manager. He did it against, you see what happened against Notre Dame. He managed the game into a loss. It is what happens. Since then, since week 1, of course, Michigan has found an identity. They have the number 2 total defense in the country, only allowing 238 yards per game to opposing teams. They have the number 9 scoring defense in the country. They're only allowing opponents to score 15 points per game. 15 points per game is great. Yes, it is. It's great. But I don't know, man. I like Michigan to win this game because I think this year they are good enough to win the game. But I just cannot go against Mark D'Antonio and what he has done over the past 10 years versus Michigan. They've won 8 of the last 10. And arguably, Michigan has been the best team in all of the meetings. I'm not going to say all of the meetings, but if you really look at the records at the past seasons, Michigan has been a good team. He just haven't been able to beat any of the rivals. So I do. I would say Michigan wins this game because they are the better overall team. If you ask me, I just don't trust Shea Patterson. I think that's what I'm trying to say. I don't trust Shea Patterson to win against this Michigan State defense. I don't just it's the fact that I don't trust him because he's a 1 year starter. This is his first year in Michigan. He's still getting used to the system. You cannot tell me that after 7 games you're already used to the system. No. This is Mark D'Antonio we're talking about on the other sideline. This man has beaten Michigan 8 of the last 10 times. So if I have to pick somebody, if I was a betting man, which I am not, thank God, I would go with Michigan State. Simply because Mark D'Antonio has proven to me and the nation and Michigan that he is better than Michigan. He has outcoached every Michigan coach for the past 10 years, has outplayed every Michigan coach, including Jim Harbaugh. There was the fluky win, of course, 2 years ago or was it 2 or 3 years ago, something like that, on the punt. But I think I'm picking Michigan State to win this game, although Michigan is the better team. To win this game, I think Shea Patterson has to step it up. Shea Patterson has to become one of the best quarterbacks in the Big Ten, which they're saying he is. I don't see it. I mean, they haven't played anyone. They have not played anyone, and that's my only problem. Again, you play one team like Notre Dame, right? A ranked opponent, you lost, right? You were losing against Northwestern, and you made a little comeback there and ended up winning. And that's what I don't trust. It's the inconsistency of the team. That's what I'm trying to say. That's why I think I don't trust the Wolverines. They are inconsistent. I don't like inconsistency. You have to show me consistency throughout for me to like you. You know, I mean, all right, let's see who they've beaten, okay? So they lost to Notre Dame 24-17, a one-score game. Again, Shea Patterson, the manager, did enough to be there. 227 yards, 20 for 30, one interception, enough. And this is when Brandon Wimbush was the starter for Notre Dame. If it would have been Ian Book would have blown them out of the stadium. Then they beat Western Michigan, SMU, Nebraska, which is not a good team this year, Northwestern. They had to come from behind against Northwestern. Then Maryland. You're supposed to be Maryland. The only good team they've played in big game, quote unquote, is Wisconsin. So that's why I don't trust them. Okay, they beat up on bad opponents, but then against good opponents they don't show up. That's who Michigan is. For the past 6 years, that's who Michigan has been. They are not showing up to the big games. And this is a big game. This is a in-state rivalry game. And it's going to be one of the best games this weekend. So I think, I'm going Michigan State. I'm going Michigan State. I can't trust the inconsistency of Michigan against good teams. I can't. So I will go Michigan State for this game. They are playing. It's gonna be in East Lansing. It's gonna be at noon in Fox, and Michigan is only a 7-point favorite. I mean, go figure. It's a big game, and they are the better team, and they're only 7-point favorite. Why do you think that is? Inconsistency. History. The history between the two teams, rivalry game. And in Michigan State over the last 10 years, 8 of 10. They have gotten the best of Michigan each and every single time. So I am going to go with Michigan State's party and Mark D'Antonio. I believe they can do it. I do think They can do it. They have the number one rushing defense in the nation. I think they will stop Karen Hickton, and at that point, you have to force Shea Patterson to be the hero for Michigan. The final matchup I want to get into is going to be number 16 North Carolina State versus number 3 Clemson. Yes, on paper, Clemson looks like the better team, is the better team. I'm talking on paper right now. On paper, they have the number 6 scoring defense, only giving up 15 points per game. Number 3 total defense in the country, 261 yards per game. Number 14 rush defense, only allowing 108 rushing yards per game. Number 14 scoring offense, 42 points per game. Number 4 rush offense. Yes, number 4 rush offense, 280 yards per game. Travis Etienne, he is running over people. He's definitely one of the best running backs this year. He has been very solid for Clemson. That's why Clemson continues to exceed and win games. Is because Etienne, he single-handedly destroyed Syracuse himself. He has 83 attempts for 762 yards in 6 games. He is averaging 9.2 yards per carry. The dude is a machine. He is a machine. He is the machine, the glue, the oil that is keeping Clemson moving. However, they are going up against a very good North Carolina State that is also top 20 in scoring defense with number 16, only allowing 16 points per game. They are also number 35 in the country in total defense, giving up 340 yards per game. Now, I want to get into this matchup right here, right? What I like about this matchup is Clemson's defense. Clemson has one of the best defenses in the country. Like I said, they're number 3 overall defense in the country, number 6 scoring defense. They're very good, no doubt. Very good, no doubt. Now, what scares me about Clemson is their quarterback situation. Like I said earlier, is the fact that they have 2 freshmen, redshirt freshmen as a backup and a true freshman as a starter. So what's going to happen in this game is I'm finally going to see how my goodness, Trevor Lawrence performs versus a good team. They haven't faced a very good team yet this year. Texas A&M, that's about the only one. Syracuse, that was another close game. But in those 2 games, Trevor Lawrence was cracking. He was cracking at the seam. Versus Texas A&M, like I said earlier, he had to be bailed out. He had to be bailed out by Kelly Bryant, who isn't there anymore to bail him out again. And versus Syracuse, they were putting so much pressure on him. He had to make the throws he made. He had like 96 yards in the first half before he got injured with the neck injury. Chase Bryce came in the second half and closed out the game. Well, I'm not going to say closed out the game. He was managing the second half, not turning the football over, and just giving perfect handoffs to Travis Etienne so he could run for a lifetime. That's what it felt like watching that game. Travis Etienne was running all over the Syracuse defense, and especially in the second half, he carried the team. I'm pretty sure he had about 3 touchdowns. I can't be too sure right now. I don't have the papers in front of me right now, but I'm pretty sure Travis Etienne he rushed for like let's see. I want to give you the facts. I don't want to give you the bullshit. He rushed for 3 touchdowns and 203 yards on 27 carries. Yes, he was going ape shit. Huh, that was my dog barking. She needed to go to the bathroom. Had to take it real quick. But yes, Travis Etienne, completely carried the load for Clemson versus Syracuse, a game that I honestly thought they would be dead in the water. They looked like they were dead in the water. They couldn't move the football. There she is again. There's my doggy just barking away. But Etienne then versus Wake Forest, he had 10 carries for 167 yards and 3 touchdowns. Yes, he has been the oil, the glue that's keeping Clemson together right now. And he's gonna have to do the exact same thing against NC State. NC State is coming in with the number 16 scoring defense in the country. NC State also has the number 13th rushing defense in the country, only giving up 107 yards per game to opposing running backs, and they're only giving up 3.7 yards per rush per carry. So NC State is a very good rushing defense. Has a very good rushing defense. I need to see Travis Etienne do the same thing versus a top 15 rushing defense, top 20 overall defense. Scoring defense. I want to see if he can do the same thing. I also want to see Trevor Lawrence. I want to see how he performs. His last game was 2 weeks ago. It was versus Wake Forest. He was 20 of 25, 175 yards and 2 touchdowns. Etienne, like I said, 10 carries for 167 yards. That's about 16.7 yards per carry. It is insane. I mean, Etienne just was running all over Wake Forest as he is supposed to. He is one of the top running backs in the nation right now, and he should be able to do these things. Now, I want to see how he performs against a top 15 rush defense, because it ultimately is going to come down to that. Travis Etienne, like I've been saying, is keeping that team together. He is the one, the glue. He is the glue to that team. Can he do the same thing against a very good rush defense? I want to see if he can. If he can do the same thing, 167, 200 yards, which is, pretty amazing for a running back. If he can do the same thing against this NC State defense, then Clemson has a very good chance of remaining undefeated, being 7-0, and they'll probably, if they win convincingly against a top 20 opponent, they might even jump Ohio State. I don't know that if I was the AP voters, I would rank Clemson above Ohio State, even if they win against NC State, because Ohio State has played better competition. I know they've looked a little shaky on defense as of late, but I don't think Clemson should jump Ohio State even with a win, although I think it will happen. Now, if they win convincingly, I would put a little more credibility towards Clemson, because right now credibility is running low for me when it comes to Clemson. There's my dog again. I want to see how they perform against a ranked opponent, because they haven't played a ranked opponent yet. So I really cannot put any stock behind Clemson right now. Right now, at the moment, I don't believe in them. I need them to show me. I need them to make me a believer. You want to make me believe in you? Win against ranked opponents. You haven't beaten a ranked opponent yet. I cannot put stock behind your name if all you're showing me is that you can beat average opponents that you're supposed to beat. beat somebody that matters, beat somebody who's ranked. For example, North Carolina State, the Wolfpack coming into Death Valley. I want to see that one. If you can beat them, then I'll give you credit. But right now, I just don't believe you. I don't believe you're a top 3 opponent. I don't believe you're a top 5, let alone top 3. And I just don't believe in Trevor Lawrence. Everybody keeps saying that he's a good quarterback. Well, how am I supposed to know he's a good quarterback if he's not proving it to me versus the very good opponents, because they haven't played anyone? If you want to tell me and show me that you are a good quarterback, do it this weekend. Do it this weekend against a top 20 scoring defense, a top 15 rush defense. If you can do it at that point, then I'll put stock behind Clemson. I would say they maybe belong in the top 5. I still wouldn't put him ahead of Clemson. Ahead of Notre Dame, who's undefeated. Definitely wouldn't put them ahead of LSU, who already has 3 top 10 wins. 3 top 10 wins, including the number 2 team in the country, the former number 2 team in the country, Georgia. And Clemson right now, their schedule, nothing suggests to me that they belong in the conversation for the top 3, top 4 teams in the nation, because based on the resume, they are not there. Yes, their defense is amazing. They check out number 6, number 3, number 14, number 14 scoring offense. I mean, they are top 20 in pretty much every defensive category, which is great. Clemson is a very good defensive team. Offensively, though, to me, they're simply not there. I do not believe in them. All right, I just don't believe in Clemson so far, and they're about to play their 7th game. We're in week 8. They just had a bye week. They're gonna play their 7th game, and they haven't shown me anything. When they play A&M, nearly lost to an unranked Syracuse at home. So I just do not believe in Clemson. But next week I will be introducing a new segment. It's gonna be called Pick'em, and that's where I will be picking. I will be picking teams and matchups to to go for the spread, whether they will cover, whether they are going to win outright, whether they, just picking the underdogs, picking the games, just picking the matchups. I won't be introducing that next week. For this week, I am all over. I mean, like I said, I was all over college football this week, and those are the 3 matchups that I really that intrigue me for this week: LSU versus Mississippi State, Michigan versus Michigan State, and North Carolina State versus Clemson. Those are the matchups that I really want to watch. I really want to see how these teams perform against very good competition. and that's all I have for this week. Please give me a follow on Twitter if you want to stay updated with the podcast. You can also check out my YouTube. I will be uploading the podcast on YouTube as well, and I will be breaking it down into segments, putting the segments up on my Twitter page as well. Every different topic will be up on Twitter as well. That way you can just click the link. It will be on my SoundCloud. You can listen to it right here on SoundCloud. You can go over to my YouTube channel, listen to it over there. I will be, I will give you an access to listen to the podcast in every which way. And if you are one of those listeners, I thank you for listening to me. I thank you for your support. But until next week, I am out of here for now. I am very excited for this Saturday. See what happens. See if there's any more upsets, any more shakedowns in the top 10. Because right now, after last weekend, I'm telling you, anything can happen in college football. And this is where college football is way more exciting than the NFL. And on that note, I am going to sign out. Thanks for listening, and have a good rest of your week, and enjoy football this Saturday. Until next time, I am out of here.